The reunion of Love is Blind Season 8 went down yesterday. And as expected, I think the cast just annoyed me as much as I expected. They annoyed me all season. Why would they not annoy me at the reunion? Especially Hannah, who seemed to try to make herself the victim and make Nick the villain because Hannah has been getting a lot of shit this season. I've given her a ton of shit this season, but Hannah deserved all the shit that she got this season. And seeing Marissa there standing by her, um, yeah, Marissa had all this smoke for Nick when we never saw her have all this smoke for Ramses. It was like her and Hannah decided to just double team Nick because maybe Nick is an easier target than Ramses. I don't really know. We'll get right back to Hannah and Nick, but I do want to talk about Marissa and Ramses first. Ramses kind of tried to placate the viewers a little bit for some of the things he said and for stringing Marissa along. I still contend that Ramses was just fake the whole time. And I said in my last video about the finale that it seemed like Ramses was there for the wrong reasons. I don't know if it was to be famous. I don't know if it was just to get sex. But whatever the reason Ramses was there for, it was not to actually get married. And I do feel as though Marissa was there to actually get married. One of few people there to actually find the one. But Marissa did not take out her anger on Ramses at this reunion, not at the finale really. So we never got to see Marissa take shit out on Ramses. Maybe at some point she did. But then with Hannah trying to make Nick out to be the villain, Marissa tag teamed with Hannah because allegedly after Hannah and Nick broke up and Nick moved, he left a notebook behind, and in the notebook he said that he wants to be the most famous person to ever be on Love is Blind. And as Nick explained it, it was like him trying to speak it into the universe 3 months before he even knew he would be on Love is Blind. And Marissa seemed to take that as, oh, we hate when guys are on the show for the wrong reason. And Nick was one of those guys. And I felt like this was Marissa trying to take it out on Nick for the fact that Ramses is really that guy that was on the show for the wrong reasons, because Ramses had he just did not want to get married at any point. I don't think that Ramses came on the show to get married. I don't buy that. So I understand Marissa's anger because she feels as though Ramses was one of those people that just came on the show to get famous. And so maybe if Nick was one of those people too, she's going to be mad at Nick. But then Hannah kept trying to bring up things to try to turn the audience against Nick. And I've said many times that Nick has his own issues. Nick is not a good prospect for marriage right now in his life, in my opinion. It's not like Nick is some winner. But do I think Nick is like this fake person that Hannah tried to say that he is? Not necessarily. I think Nick does like to look good for cameras. I do kind of feel that way. But it all kind of became a what about this? What about that? To try and make it seem like, yeah, Hannah did a lot of shit wrong, but Nick's bad too, because what about this? What about the time Nick hung out with some of the guys and said Hannah looked like a grenade? Did Nick talk to some of the guys and some of the guy talks and talk shit about Hannah's looks? I wouldn't doubt it. I'm sure it was after he was feeling very frustrated about Hannah constantly dogging on Nick's looks. In every episode since the pods, since they met each other for the first time, Hannah has talked shit about Nick in some capacity, usually his height or his looks. So, yeah, I'm sure Nick tried to take his frustration out, regardless of... I'm just think, yeah, Nick probably did some shit wrong. But I just don't like that it's trying to say, oh, Hannah's just this way because she just likes to tell the truth, allegedly. And Marissa double teaming with that really rubbed me the wrong way. And it made me feel as though maybe Ramses did see that Marissa could be insufferable, because I thought she was very insufferable at this reunion, double teaming with Hannah. And I don't want to make Nick out to be the victim here completely, but on the show, from what we saw, and you can say it's an edit, whatever, but we saw with our own eyes Nick trying with Hannah. Whether he found her super attractive or not, he was trying with Hannah. And we saw Nick trying to have patience with Hannah's miserable ass, borderline, like, abusive ways. I do feel like she could be abusive in the ways that she talked to Nick sometimes, because it's always dogging on Nick to make herself feel better, because she's such an insecure asshole that's what she does. And there is a big difference between Hannah saying, oh, I just like to tell the truth and speak the truth, and just being a bitch. And some people get lost in the sauce with that. You can tell the truth, but if you're just constantly doing it to one person, you're just a bitch. And that's what Hannah was with Nick, in my opinion. So yeah, I just not like the what Nick did to try and make Nick seem like more of a villain than Hannah. And Marissa saying that, well, we know how Hannah is, but Nick did stuff too. I don't think it was a good defense. I don't think Hannah was able to fix her image on this reunion. She still came across like an ass. Hopefully she is happy. She's skinny now. She's on Ozempic or whatever. She's skinny now. I hope that she actually is happy with herself. I don't buy that she actually is. She just showed, once again, that she has sociopathic tendencies. That's really how I feel about the reunion. This did not change my opinion of Hannah whatsoever. In fact, it made me want to double down that Hannah has a lot of issues. And yeah, Nick kind of sucks too, but he actually did try with Hannah. And the biggest thing that pissed me off, I forgot to mention it, with Marissa talking about how, oh, Nick, the paper that Hannah allegedly found that Nick wanted to be the most famous person on Love is Blind. And Marissa saying, we don't like people that come on the show for the wrong reasons. Well, Marissa's BFF Hannah came on the show for the wrong reasons. I don't buy for a minute that Hannah came on the show for the right reasons, because look at how her story played out. No, Hannah did not come on the show to actually truly try and find if love is blind. The minute she saw Nick, she's been dogging him ever since, because she felt like she was superior to him. And at the same time, she's just an insecure ass. So yeah, all the reunion really did is made me dislike Marissa. And she was one of the few people after the season I actually liked. So as a whole, the season just was a really terrible cast to watch, I must say. A very much insufferable cast, besides Taylor and Garrett, I guess. And I never really liked Garrett either, but I did enjoy him at the reunion. I've always liked Taylor, though. Pisces gang there. Ashley doubling down with Tyler after the whole thing with the 3 kids that he was allegedly a sperm donor for. That just seems like the most far-fetched story of all time. That he was a sperm donor 3 different times for a family friend, and then he did get too involved with the family friend. It's one of the most outlandish shit I've ever heard of. I'm a avid soap opera viewer over the years. That's up there with some soap opera stories. But Ashley wants to stand by her man. More power to her. I don't see it ending well. I just really don't. I mean, maybe Tyler's a changed man, but whatever happened in his past with this other woman and the 3 kids, it's way too shady and way too outlandish of a story. So I think they inevitably have problems coming for them. But I guess Ashley's ride or die, and I'm not going to attack her too much for that. Steven and Monica. I felt like Steven was also trying to be a victim in this reunion. Like, nobody's going to believe him. Nobody wants to hear his side of the story. He has issues. Hopefully, he's really in therapy, like he says, because he does need it. Monica, I go back and forth if she actually came on the show for the right reasons. I think she did. I mean, her entire edit was just desperate to get married. But to me, that's not coming on the show for the right reasons. If you're just going to desperately want to marry the person you chose in the pods, even if you chose wrong, Monica's very strange to me. She's a very strange individual. Another person I liked a lot at the beginning, but by the end, her negative qualities did override her positive qualities. It's easy to see how all these people were single and still are, most of them. They have a lot of issues, and Monica and Steven both need therapy for different reasons. Monica needs to not be so desperate for marriage, and Steven needs to fix his sex addiction, his porn addiction, whatever the hell is wrong with him. And speaking of therapy, we'll end it with Tim. To hear that Alex called him a little bitch or whatever was funny to me because he does act like it. And he's acted like it the entire season. Just trauma dumping onto Alex. And I don't think Alex is interesting, for lack of better words. I think if Hannah didn't exist on the season, Alex would have the worst personality, only because she lacks personality, in my opinion. It's not a bad personality, she just is really lacking. And maybe that's an age thing with her and Hannah. I don't know, they're not that young, though. But Tim is still the more problematic one in this relationship to me. He just is a crybaby. He loves to play the victim. And like I said a lot during my videos during the season, there are similarities to Hannah. He likes to hear himself talk, won't listen to the other person, and I think just worst of all, borderline controlling. If something does not go the way he wants it to go, he wants to run for the hills. He too needs real therapy. He needs to stop trauma dumping on girlfriends or whatever and find a real therapist. That's all for the season. I had a comment ask, would I watch Love is Blind again? Not the best season, not gonna lie to y'all. The cast was really obnoxious. I would give it this show one more chance, though, if I'm not too busy next time it comes out, or if I'm not just talking about a bunch of other shows on the channel at the time. Not the worst. It had its moments. Production needs to get better, though, at the editing for sure. They left out way too much of the season. And hearing from others that that's not always the case, I don't know what the issue was this season, but it was an issue. The editing just left a lot to be desired because there was a lot left out. But yeah, that's all for the reunion. Even the people, some of the people that I did like, Marissa, don't like him after the reunion. So just like Taylor, that's all I like. My Philo Pisces. Good job, Taylor. You're great. Everybody else, you suck.